We all want to make money by doing something we love. If you could turn your hobby into your job, you'd never work a day in your life, right? Welcome to Hobby Hustle, the ultimate podcast where collecting passion and business collide. Now, here's your host, Zach Nigett.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 40 of Hobby Hustle. I'm your host, Zach Nigett, and I'm excited to have you here. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time member of the Hobby Hustle community, welcome. If you love collecting, storytelling, and diving deep in the world of collectibles, you're in the right place. I do have one favor. I'm asking you to help support me with a simple task. Please make sure to like, subscribe, rate the pod with a 5-star review, and of course, share it with your fellow collectors. Finally, if you're watching on YouTube, please drop a comment with your thoughts and suggestions. I always appreciate the feedback. Now let's get into the episode. I'm incredibly honored to welcome this week's guest to the show, a visionary entrepreneur and passionate collector who's helped shape some of the most well-known consumer brands of our time. He's the co-founder of LegalZoom, The Honest Company, and ShoeDazzle, and has built multiple businesses from the ground up. With his deep experience in launching, scaling startups, raising venture capital, and creating direct-to-consumer subscription-based brands, he brings incredible insight to the world of entrepreneurship. But his passion for collecting that has led to his latest venture, co-founding Arena Club. Arena Club is built for collectors by collectors, offering innovative ecosystem that reimagines how we grade, collect, trade, invest, and sell cards. It's designed to bring the hobby into the digital age where you can showcase your collection in a personal online showroom, access it from anywhere, and connect with a global community of collectors. I'm honored to welcome Brian, and you can find him at Arena Club Lee or visit arenaclub.com to explore the platform. Please welcome a collector, trailblazer, and entrepreneur, Brian Lee, to Hobby Hustle. Brian, thank you so much for joining. How are you today, sir?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me, Zach.
Absolutely. So, hey, before we dive into it, I know you're a big collector and sports fan, and there's a lot going on in the world of sports right now. So, sort of what has your attention at the moment?
So much has my attention, especially women's basketball. I'm following that religiously, and I was very excited to see UConn win.
Yeah.
However, I am a UCLA Bruin myself, and so was secretly hoping UCLA would make it through. But UConn looked fantastic, and man, that Paige woman can she handle the ball? Or can she shoot the rock? It's like she's amazing.
Yeah, Paige Becker, she's a stud.
Yeah, it's just massive stud. So I've been following that. I've been following, of course, the men's, and that's exciting. Happening tonight, and kind of surprised about the Duke upset. And, I thought Cooper Flag would kind of lead them to glory, but everyone has a day where they have to reassess themselves. And I'm super excited for Houston and Florida. And I'm not sure. I'm rooting for both of them.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for both. And also, of course, I'm an LA Dodgers fan myself, and just super excited to see us get off to a great start.
Yeah, man, you guys are on fire. So congrats there.
Thank you.
Very cool. So, hey, I love with all of our guests to sort of take it back to your collecting origins. And I know that you're a passionate collector. So can you tell us a little bit about some of those first memories and sort of what got you into collecting?
Oh, yeah. So I recall it very vividly, actually. I was about 8 years old, and my father took me to my first LA Dodgers game because I grew up in Southern California, and he was a Dodgers fan and took me to my first ball game. And Steve Garvey was our first baseman for the Dodgers at that time. And I was so excited. I remember going home the next day. I got on my BMX bike and I rode all the way to the local card shop. It was called Fountain Valley Sports Cards. And went there and I bought a 1971 Topps rookie, Steve Garvey rookie card. And I still have it to this day. And that kind of started me off in my collecting journey.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. Well, I know you're still passionate today. The best was I bumped into you at the Burbank show most recently, and you're digging through 90s boxes, which I just love to see, man. I mean, I think it's so cool. Like, obviously it's awesome, right? But you've achieved a certain level of success in your professional, life. So to see you digging through the commons boxes, it put a huge smile on my face and makes me happy, man.
Yeah, and I know I just love collecting. I love everything about the hobby. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever stop. And now I started collecting with my son when he turned about 8 years old.
Okay.
So I started collecting with him and bringing him to card shows and card shops with me. And now it's kind of the hobby that we share together. So
that's awesome.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, very cool. Well, so obviously you've come a long way from the Steve Garvey rookie, even though you still have it. Can you sort of tell us a little bit about how your collections evolved and maybe what you're sort of focused on and into these days?
Yeah, I think the core of my collection is still baseball. I just love the sport. I go to a lot of Dodger games throughout the season, and I just love watching kind of like the minor leaguers kind of make their way up through the ranks and so forth. And so I'm just deep into baseball. But at the same time, I've been collecting all sports, basketball, a little less football. Although I do like F1 and soccer and some of the other sports, I'm a big sports collector. I've started collecting some Pokemon, believe it or
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
It's like I just kind of had to educate myself on it because it's so popular right now, and there's so much buzz around it and so much passion around it. I kind of wanted to see what I was missing. And so kind of got into just a little bit of Pokemon, not really, but yeah, just having fun all around. I have a collection that's really near and dear to me called it's in my showroom at Arena Club. It's Asian icons. And just being Asian myself, I started collecting other kind of Asian players and heroes, and these are the players I grew up watching and idolizing, and I started collecting a lot of these Asian kind of superstars from all different sports. Um, so, for example, I've got like Chloe Kim rookie cards from her snowboarding years. I've got Yao Ming. I have Jeremy Lin. I've got Normie Kwan, who was the very first Asian professional football player, played in the Canadian League. Yeah, so I got a pretty extensive kind of collection of Asian sports heroes, if you will.
Very cool. I love that. That's awesome. I think that's what's so cool about collecting, right? Is that everybody can sort of find that passion and collect how they want, collect what they love and like. But I'm a '90s Bulls geek, so I do my trios with Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and stuff. And I think it's cool that it just brings meaning to all of us in different ways. So that's really cool to hear and see, man.
Yeah, yeah, I've been having fun with it.
That's great. So, hey, I want to jump into sort of the business side of things.
Yeah.
A lot of our listeners, because this is obviously a collecting podcast, will know you from Arena Club. But as I mentioned in my intro, you have a wealth of experience as a very successful entrepreneur outside of that. Can you tell us maybe a little bit sort of about those earlier years?
Of course. So I think I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur ever since I was a little kid, and I was always that kid hustling, which is why the name of your show, Hobby Hustle, resonated with me, because I was always hustling. I was always that kid trying to make a trade, make a buck, and so forth. So the baseball cards were just one thing that I was doing back in the day, and buying and selling cards, and but I would like I know. I remember like making little mazes from graph paper and selling them for 10 cents to my friends and stuff like that. And so I ended up going to school. I went to UCLA for undergrad, and I just still didn't know what I wanted to do. Um while I was in undergrad, and so I decided to apply to law school at UCLA, and ended up going to law school at UCLA for 3 more years and ended up being a lawyer. And I call myself really an accidental lawyer. I just didn't know what I wanted to do,
Yeah. But you
and
can
I
never
was
go wrong
having
with law.
yeah, really. I was having a lot of fun in college and being a student. And so I just kind of wanted to stay 3 more years but I ended up practicing law, enjoying the people I worked with, but what didn't get as much fulfillment as I wanted in terms of the actual practice. I was focused on tax law at the time. And so decided to kind of branch off on my own and started a company called LegalZoom.com with a couple of friends of mine. And we started that very small. We really didn't get outside funding. And so we just kind of started it in my condo and just kind of kept growing it. And today it's a public business and is trading pretty well and doing well, and super excited about the future of the company. And then I started my second company called ShoeDazzle with Kim Kardashian and my wife Mira. We ended up growing that and selling that to a company called Textile down in El Segundo. And then the third company I started was called The Honest Company. I started that with Jessica Alba. It's in the baby product category, so diapers, wipes, and so forth. We took that one public as well, and it's trading publicly. And so I've started my fourth company called Arena Club. And so I know I'm what you call a serial entrepreneur. I'm always that guy who has just tons of ideas. I'm sure a lot of you all are like that. You got all these ideas and they just kind of stick in my head, and I kind of want to go execute them. And Arena Club was definitely one of those.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And I mean, congrats on your success. Obviously, you've done some really amazing things, but I think the hobby community is excited about Arena Club. I know it's been around for a couple few years now, and you guys are really starting to establish yourselves as one of the larger companies in the space. So speaking of that, with that past experience and knowledge, sort of what drew you to the idea of building Arena Club?
You know, it was interesting because after the Honest Company, I actually promised my wife I would never start another company. Because it takes years off your life. It really does. It's like the stress, the amount of challenge and so forth. And I wasn't sure if I still had it in me to start another company, but I just fell deeper and deeper into the hobby during COVID, like many of us. Right. So I always collected. I never stopped collecting. I was always that guy that would pop my head into local card shops if I was traveling and so forth. But really got deeper into it during COVID with my son. And just trying to think of ways to improve the hobby, right? Because it's like all throughout my years of collecting, I always loved it so much of it I love, but there were something that just kind of bugged me, that I thought I could do better.
Hmm.
And those two things were on the grading side and on the marketplace side. So on the grading side, I just thought it'd be so cool if I could actually know why a card graded a certain way.
Yep.
Right. I just felt like there's a lot of just haphazardness to it. Like I know cards, just like cards. It's
Yep.
like I know what a gem mint 10 should be. Right. And so many times I was sending these cards that I thought would mint out and they would come back as, an 8
Hmm.
or a 9. And then sometimes I was sending cards that I thought were an 8 or 9 and they would come back as 10s. It's like it was just all over the place for me. And I just wanted better transparency. And I knew using technology, right? You can build a computer AI system to assist you in grading these cards to provide fully transparent grading reports. And so that's what we do at Arena Club. We use computer assisted grading and with transparent notes and so forth that you could actually see why your card graded a certain way. And there's no escaping it. Once it goes into the system, basically that's what you're getting.
Yep.
We've taken a lot of the subjectivity out of it. So that was part one. And part two was more the marketplace. Um, Same thing is I love all these different marketplaces, but I've always had issues with a lot of them too. Like a lot of them, like I don't know, a lot of cars that I ended up getting were either fake or fraudulent, or sometimes they would be trimmed. There's just all sorts of issues that I have with it. And then the second is like non-shipment, non-delivery, non-payment. Takes too long to fulfill. Whatever the issues were, I've dealt with all of them.
Yep.
Buying online for as many years as I have, you're going to deal with a lot of things. And so I thought I could make that better too by using technology. And the way that we do it is we use blockchain to record everything, to track everything. And so every card on our platform at Arena Club is 100% guaranteed authentic because everything is graded either by PSA, Beckett, SGC, or by Arena Club. And so if you send us a raw card, what we do is we digitize it, we grade it using our computer assisted AI grading, and then basically we put the physical card in our vault. Our vault is in Oregon, and then the digital version we put into your online showroom. And then that way you can buy, sell, and trade that card very quickly with other showrooms. You don't have to wait for delivery, mail, you don't have to worry with payment issues. You don't have to worry with authenticity issues. And so I felt like I solved a lot of the marketplace issues that I've had in the past. So that was part two of
Yeah.
Arena Club. And so we launched about, call it 2 years ago now. And it's been off to the races. We've been having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a really impressive platform. Obviously, I was showing, a little bit of the marketplace going on there. So, dive in a little bit, just in case people don't understand. You said you put it on the blockchain when you digitize it and stuff. That is very unique. This concept of sort of minting a collectible, if you will. Can you just dive a little bit deeper and help explain that for some that might not understand that concept?
So basically, there's to the average user, they're not going to know whether or not it's on blockchain or not. But
Yep.
to us, it matters a lot because everything's on a ledger, right? So we're tracking the movement of that card everywhere it goes. So if it's going from my showroom to your showroom, it gets reminted on blockchain and then into your showroom. And that way, it's 100% proof that that card is your card, and we're tracking it to make sure that there are no kind of switcheroos, because that's another big problem in the hobby. And you probably know this is the bait and switch. You're looking at a perfect card you think is a perfect card online, you get it in the mail, it's not a perfect card, right? So we've all dealt with it. We've all dealt with it. And so that's what we're avoiding by putting everything on blockchain and actually making sure the card that you purchase is the card you are getting. And there's proof of that on blockchain.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the other thing that's unique too is, as you mentioned, like I don't want to use the word instant liquidity necessarily, but the fact that you can, transfer your assets immediately to the other person, you can trade, you can buy, you can sell. I think that also makes sort of, the platform a little bit unique. And I know a lot of people love that. Can you sort of dive into a little bit more detail about sort of that whole process? And I know it's a seamless one, but let the audience sort of know a little bit more about that.
It's very seamless. It's like you could buy, sell, and trade cards. They get it into your showroom instantly when you purchase a card, or when you sell a card, it leaves your showroom instantly. You don't have to pack anything or ship anything. It's everything just is moving online. If anyone actually wants their physical card, we're more than happy to mail the physical card to you. And so you could always call the cards out of your vault and we mail it to you physically. We delete it from online, right? So it gets removed from your online showroom and then we mail it to you physically. So we do that as well. And oh, there you go. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
showing it.
I'm just bringing up some of the marketplace.
Yeah,
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think also just to highlight, and I know you mentioned it quickly, but the fact that you guys accept all grading companies, right? Like obviously you have your
that's right.
in-house and we can see some Arena Club slabs here, but you can see PSA, SGC, there's Beckett, I'm sure is in here someplace if we keep clicking. But that it's cool that it truly is a platform for everybody, not just exclusive to Arena Club.
That's correct. We just wanted more authenticity online by guaranteed sources, basically.
Yep. Yep. It's impressive. And, super clean user interface. We're obviously looking at the web version here, but there's also a very nice mobile app. So it's sort of, it's really a one-stop shop that you guys have done, Brian. So it's a big props
Yeah.
to you there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And so one of the more exciting products we launched last year was slab packs, as you probably know as well, which is our answer to the repack industry. And so again, everything that we do at Arena Club, we're trying to innovate on and bring you as much technology and improvement and transparency as possible. Right. And so the repacks came to me because I was actually at a show at the National a couple years back, and I just saw how many people were selling these repack products in front of their tables or at their tables. And I remember there was just being zero transparency, right? And zero kind of understanding as to what cards were in these packs. Right. Because I would ask a couple of these vendors, I'm like, what cards are in here? And
Yep.
they couldn't tell me. They
Yep.
couldn't tell me what they put in there. And even when I asked them, well, what am I chasing? They would say something like, oh, it's an Otani rookie card. And you're like, well, which one? Right? And it's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
they wouldn't come forward with, checklists or anything like that. And so I just thought, gosh, what if we did it a different way? What if we allowed people to see a fully transparent list of cards that they might be able to hit with the odds that they could hit them. And there's a lot of transparency because you see once a card is hit, you see which showroom it goes into. So there's legitimacy in terms of the cards are being hit and they are being sent into different showrooms. And so, something along those lines. So we launched that about a year ago now, a year and a month ago, and it's done very, very well. And so that's kind of brought a lot of energy to Arena Club, a lot of excitement, and that has really uplifted our grading of our own cards, our slabs, as well as increased activity in the marketplace.
Yep. I think it's awesome. And I've got it here on screen. And to your point, what's so cool is you can see sort of, the top hit, the grail hit, right? And it gives you clearly labeled the percentages, some chase cards, and then the lineup stuff that's available. Now, I do have a question, and I've not purchased a slab pack, Brian, which I need to do. But if a card is hit because you're showing what's available, do those then disappear, or are they, is the
Yes.
consumer aware of what is not available any longer?
That's correct. So anytime you're logging in, it's real time.
Okay.
So if any of these cards are hit, and if the customer keeps the card and asks for the card out of the system or whatever it is, once it's hit, it gets replaced with an equal value card. So
Very
for example, if this Grail card is hit it will get replaced with another grail card of around equal value,
Okay.
if that
Very
makes
cool.
sense. So it's always a constant live checklist.
Awesome. And this is all, just to be clear, done digitally, right? You purchase this
Mhm.
online, you rip it. It's an online experience. I've seen people do it. Obviously, there's a lot
Mhm.
of, social media influencers and stuff that you guys work with, but it's very cool. And like you said, this is all so clearly labeled, laid out, and it does remove, sort of the negativity of repacks, right? You guys are saying, hey, here it all is.
That's right. And so for us, it's yes, it's a digital experience, but you could get the cards physically,
Yep.
right? So once you rip the pack online and want the physical card, we mail you the physical card,
That's awesome.
or
Which
you
is
can put it
pretty
into our
obvious.
auction and so forth.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
And different tiers, as little as $50, $25 it looks like, but
right.
it's sort of for all levels of collectors. And obviously, as you go up, the chases get greater. We'll jump into this $1,000 multi-sport just to see. So you get a Patrick Mahomes gold rookie auto, which is massive, a Mickey Mantle, Brady downtown. There's some just awesome cards in here, but obviously that's for a higher level collector. So if you're just getting started, you can do it very easily at $50 a pack. So very cool, Brian. I really like that. That's amazing. Let me get that off so I can talk to you some more. um, so, I'm curious, part of, sort of what you guys are building truly is a community, right? And the showcase feature, I think, helps build on this to bring people together to show off your cards, which is really cool. Can you sort of talk to just a little bit more about, building that community at Arena Club and sort of what that means to you?
Yeah, so it's really a community that I wanted.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted people to meet each other, to be social with each other, to understand, what people are collecting, to go into someone's showroom like yours, like Zach, if you had a showroom, I would go in there and see what you're collecting so I can make you some really nice trade offers and, get to know each other.
Yeah.
And so we definitely have a lot of community being built, a lot of people talking to each other, meeting each other, and trading cards with each other. So trading cards are free on Arena Club. So
That's
we
awesome.
do not charge for trading cards, and because we want to have people engage with each other and
Yeah.
have fun with the hobby. And so that's really what we're trying to build here. What we're trying to really build at Arena Club is everything that you could do at a card show. We want you to be able to do at Arena Club. We want you to be able to buy cards, sell cards, trade cards, rip packs open, send cards in for grading. Whatever it is that you could do at a card show, we want you to be able to do at Arena Club.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, it truly is, a one-stop shop. I am curious. So you said the trading component's free, and I just to clarify this for the viewers. So I can obviously trade, with other people on Arena Club. That happens for free. If I want to get that card out though and physically have that card sent to me, I'm assuming there's a price to pay for that.
Yeah, it's a very nominal fee though, and I
Okay.
I, I actually should know that amount, but it's very
I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, Brian.
yeah. I'm sorry. I should actually know that amount. Yeah,
Okay, cool. So, but just so the audience knows, so transactions on the platform totally free. If you want to pull it out, there's probably some nominal shipping fees, maybe handling,
yeah,
something like that. Okay, very
that's right.
cool. That's awesome. Well, the platform is super impressive, and you've obviously had some amazing growth over the past couple of years since you've launched. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about sort of what's worked best to grow the business?
It's really just it's pretty simple. We try to deliver what we promise. And that's always worked for me in the past, from my LegalZoom days to ShoeDazzle and the Honest Company. We want to build a brand that truly resonates with this user base. And the word brand is thrown around so lightly today, but what does it really mean? We want we want Arena Club to really mean something to this hobby, to this community, and we want people to really understand that we are leading with technology. We are leading with transparency to bring you the best experience possible. And whatever we promise, we want to deliver. Whether that be we're promising transparency with the slab packs, we're promising transparency with grading, we're promising authenticity with the marketplace. We want to deliver on that. Because to build a brand, I often say it takes a few things, right? It takes time, right? It takes money, but it takes extreme focus on delivering what you promise.
Yeah.
And if we could do that, over time. And if we spend enough money on branding and marketing and so forth, we think we can build something special here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you're off to a great start with it, that's for sure. You know, I'm sort of interested in actual tactics that you guys have found have worked, right? So you're a new brand. You obviously have a high profile co-founder in Mr. Jeter with yourself.
Yeah.
But social media, you know, traditional marketing, sort of, can you talk to us about your guys' approach and sort of how you launched and then what you're continuing to do today to help continue this growth?
Yeah. So it's really kind of a step-by-step approach in terms of launching a brand in today's world. You always want to go with the lowest hanging fruit first, right? The lowest hanging fruit in our case was influencers, right? So we reached out to a handful of influencers that we worked with when we started, and we're still working with them today. And we'd like to build deep relationships and partnerships as we grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we work with the likes of Pac-Man, the likes of Nature, Kyle King of Cards, Mary Gamble. I mean, there's just so many influencers that we love, like Talon Sports Cards, and there's just so many. I
Yep.
if I left her name off, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But
no, I don't think
we
anyone
work
will
with
take offense because I
everybody.
do know that there's a lot.
Yeah, Dr. Collectible is another
Yep.
one. We love him. We just love so many of these influencers, and they've done nothing but right by us, and we hope to be their partner for a very, very long time. And so that was kind of like step one, was working with a lot of influencers. Step two is working with just more paid ads on Instagram and TikTok and so forth, and making sure that you have the right kind of creative there. And then you want to start going a little bit broader. You want to start doing some radio, some television, and so forth. We're not there, of course, but we're still building to that level. But it's like just a step by step approach in terms of how you want to get it out there.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious about that. You know, when we talk about the more traditional, larger scale media, as far as radio, TV, things like that, obviously Fanatics has dipped a major toe into the pool. You
Mhm.
know, do you feel that there's the desire? Obviously, the collecting world seems to continue to grow. Shows seem to be busy, maybe busier than ever. But I'm just curious from like that perspective. Those are big dollars that would be spent for, a traditional media buy. I'm just sort of curious on your take with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll start seeing more and more of it. We love Fanatics because we love them leading the charge and getting more eyeballs into the hobby. So we truly appreciate, all their efforts there. In terms of, you know, other companies, going broader, I'm not sure if any of them are quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Fanatics and Tops, call it.
Yep.
Maybe Panini would go a little wider, maybe, but they're kind of running out of their license time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure. But
Card
yeah,
card vault with Tom Brady, maybe.
well, there you go. That's exciting. That's an exciting venture.
It is exciting. I think that's
Yeah,
really cool for the hobby, and it's fun to see they're already in progress for another store. So,
that's so
um,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, keep it growing. Well, that's really cool. So, obviously you've had a ton of success. It continues to grow. But this isn't always easy. So I'm curious, can you talk to us maybe a little bit about some of the challenges with Arena Club and how you've, overcome those?
Yeah. Look, every company has challenges. Don't let anyone fool you, Zach. It's like it's problem solving every day, and I would often tell people, because I also do some venture investing too, and I have yet to see a company that starts and goes up into the right with no hiccups.
Yeah.
It's like it just never happens that way. They're always going to have roadblocks and challenges, and Arena Club is no different. Have we had technology issues? Yeah, we have.
Hmm.
It's like we got to hire right now. We've got to hire a bunch more engineers. Right now, we got gosh, so many. We got inventory things that we're working through. I mean, I could honestly go on and on, Zach. It's like
Yeah.
every issue that a company could have, we probably had.
Sure.
Right. And so that's the thing is that the sign of a successful entrepreneur. It's like, you show me a successful entrepreneur, and I'll show you someone who could deal with a lot of pain.
I
Right?
agree with that.
Yeah, it's true.
I
It's true,
agree.
because you just got to keep fighting and hustling through it, and just got to keep going.
Yep.
That's really it. You just got to keep going and keep working on things to scale, and try to fix a plane as you're flying it.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
One thing that I am curious, and in my opinion, this has probably been one of your challenges, and maybe not. But back to the grading aspect, right? There's obviously very well established companies that we've talked about, the Beckett's, the PSAs of the world, things like that.
Mhm.
And then there's newcomers like the tags and, maybe the less, up and comers. I know SGC's been around and CGC, but you guys come into the space. Obviously, it's tech forward, and I do think that there's a huge opportunity with you and Tag with the AI grading, right? Because, like you said, it pulls out the human aspect. It's like, hey, here's what the computer sees. It's black and white. The computer's not having a bad day. The computer didn't miss something. Like, this is what it is. So, how have you sort of overcome that perception, and sort of where do you see the value there besides obviously the reports and stuff? I'm just sort of curious on your take on overcoming the big boys to sort of bring Arena Club on the grading aspect to the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And the real answer is PSA is a behemoth,
Yeah.
right? They truly are. It's like they dominate. And when I say dominate, I'm talking truly dominate
Oh yeah.
the grading, industry. With that said, would I love to see PSA move forward using technology? Absolutely. I think we all do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping Tag, especially with all the algorithms that they build and the computer vision and the technology that they built, will lead the charge in terms of kind of, you know, having these other grading companies at least evolve and provide a more transparency, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we all want,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even with Arena Club, it's like we use computer assisted grading, not fully automated the way Tag is, of course, but at the same time, I believe our grading is right up there with the best
Yep.
in terms of actually accuracy, right? And so for us, is we just want to make enough of an impact to have the others move forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if Tag, especially if Tag can make enough noise, if we can make enough noise, maybe the larger players will listen to what the consumer actually wants in terms of transparent grading reports and more accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're starting to see it. I haven't personally submitted a card with the grader notes option, but PSA rolled that out, so that's definitely a step, right? I've heard there's mixed results with that, but I'm with you, right? I think the more pressure that can be put on these bigger grading companies to start leveraging technology, the better. Because to your point, and we've all experienced it, right? With submissions, you submit something, you're like, oh, this is gonna get a 10, nine at worst, and comes like a 7 or something. You're like, what
Yeah.
the heck? Like, I don't get it, and granted, like, hey, maybe there's something I totally missed, but
Yeah.
we've been around long enough to sort of understand the basics. So to remove some of those pain points and frustrations from the consumer end, I think is a big win, and hopefully we'll all move in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, no, totally,
Yeah.
totally. So, hey, I mentioned earlier, you obviously have a business partner and co-founder in Derek Jeter. Can you just
Mm.
talk to us a little bit about sort of the role that he's played in helping build Arena Club?
Absolutely. So Derek's been an amazing, amazing partner. We're totally in sync in terms of the vision of Arena Club, the strategies that we're pursuing. He's been an amazing partner to come to a lot of the events that we hold, to help promote Arena Club, and to let the world know that we exist. And so I think he's been a terrific partner, the best that I could ask for in terms of this business. We actually have an event coming up in May. So it's just next month, actually, in Miami. We're having an event for a lot of the high-end collectors out there.
Very cool.
So that should be a lot of fun. If you find yourself in Miami, Zach, let us know.
I will for sure.
Yeah, and then yeah, so he's been terrific, and he loves what we're doing, loves what we're building. He collects his own cards. Actually, we're going to be working with some custom art creators such as yourself,
Yeah.
to make us some really cool cards, and we'll put them onto our platform.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and we're definitely going to continue that conversation. But that'll be for a later time. That's awesome. I guess one thing too there that brings up is the role that professional athletes are starting to play more and more. Obviously, Fanatics had struck some deals that encourages players associations to get more involved. You obviously have a business partner of an ex-professional athlete, and you're starting to see that more and more. What are just sort of your general thoughts? Like, do you think that trend continues? Is this sort of a flash in the pan? Just curious.
Well, I think the trend will definitely continue because I think athletes just in general I think one of their greatest moments of being a professional athlete is seeing their face on a Topps card, a
True.
community
Yeah,
card.
that's
I
gotta
mean,
be that's a
uh,
childhood dream, right? For everybody. Yeah.
how cool is that? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That's got to be the coolest feeling ever.
Yeah.
Right, and collecting your own card, I mean, that's awesome. And so you're starting to see so many of these younger players get deeper and deeper into the hobby. And it's like I'm seeing it. I'm sure you are too.
Yep.
You know, and then so it's exciting to see more and more of them kind of join, not just the bigger names like the Tom Brady's or the Derek Jeters, but some of these younger players. Like I know like Holiday collects his own cards. I know what Russell Westbrook. I've been talking to him, and he likes cards. There's so many of these players love cards. Giannis is collecting cards,
Oh
and
yeah. Well, like you said, like the
it's
younger, like Josh Young is a huge
oh yeah,
collector, and I've
huge
been seeing a
collector.
ton of cool stuff with him. And
Mhm, mhm.
obviously the whole Paul Skeens, deal about Skeens
Yeah,
trying to chase his own card, and some of the
yeah.
other like lesser name guys, but some of these debut patch stories that you see of players pulling a card and the player reaching out, or I'm sorry,
Mhm.
collectors pulling a card and the players reaching out and flying them to a practice or a game, or it's just so cool. And I hope it continues for sure.
I think so, and I think it will. I saw Bobby Witt ripping some packs the other day. It was like pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's awesome. It's very cool. Well, sort
Yeah.
of speaking of the future, as you guys continue to build and grow, I'm curious, what are sort of the next 12, 24 months look like and goals that you guys have for Arena Club?
Yeah, I think well, we're going to focus more on shows. And
Okay.
so looking at a lot of kind of show locations where we want to participate and support and be sponsors of. And so that's a show in Miami coming up. We're going to be there. We'll be at the National this summer. So a lot of our focus right now is just putting our imprint more on physical shows. So we're doing that. I think we have we are working on a couple new kind of products at Arena Club that I hope will resonate as much as the slab packs have resonated with our consumer base. So we're
Yeah.
excited to launch a couple of those initiatives. But the next 12 months are going to be pretty busy for us as we kind of add more kind of products as well as kind of increase our kind of our marketing presence and so forth. So we got a lot of work cut out for a small team.
Yeah, totally. Well, speaking of sort of the future and work, I'm curious, obviously you have your own goals at Arena Club, but bigger picture, sort of where do you see the biggest opportunity is for the hobby to grow in the next few years?
I think probably globally.
Okay.
So I've been doing some international travel, and I've been going to as many card shops as I can whenever I travel to these different countries. And what's so interesting is how nascent the hobby is in some of these very large countries. So, for example, I was in China late last year, and I was just fascinated to see how many grading companies there were in China already.
Hmm.
There were probably 4 or 5 grading companies in China. They collect mostly Ultraman cards. They collect My Little Pony cards. It's
Mhm.
kind of a weird stuff to collect, this, in
Yeah,
my
the,
opinion.
the
But,
pop
but
culture,
they're,
non-sports stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's deep. It's deep in China.
Yeah.
But of course, they collect a lot of basketball in China. And then you go to Japan, and they're collecting a lot of baseball and Pokemon. You go to Korea, they're collecting a lot of soccer and baseball. So it's different for different regions. You go to Singapore, they're collecting a lot of F1 in Singapore, and so you're looking at all these hobby shops throughout the world, and like I said, it's early, and so that's the most exciting part is you're seeing more and more of these hobby shops opening, more of these collectors getting into it, more of these collectors traveling to like the national
Hmm.
and seeing what's going on and bringing back what they're learning to their own countries. So even in Korea, for example, there's probably a good 4 or 5 breakers that are becoming well known, right? And so it's starting up in Korea, and it's starting to grow.
Hmm.
But again, very nascent, very very early, and so that's the exciting part. I think it has a lot of room to grow in Asia, especially I think Europe. Soccer, of course, dominates Europe,
Yep.
and so I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Panini has a pretty good grip on that market, and so I can see continued excitement there as well. But I think global expansion is where we're headed.
Yeah. I love that. And you see it already. Like you said, obviously like the Macau show, I know there was a couple of those and I
Oh yeah,
didn't get the opportunity to do it, but I heard wonderful things about them. You're seeing PSA announce, expansions into, I believe it was Japan and over in Europe, so like you said, it's starting and it is still very early, but how cool that you get to travel the world and get to see those experiences. And I think that's some really valuable insight.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's been a lot of fun meeting people from all over the world who collect.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, Brian, this has been amazing. And, I appreciate you taking time. But before I let you go, I like to ask every one of my guests to sort of leave the audience with one valuable tip. So if you could give a piece of advice to an aspiring entrepreneur, what would you let them know?
It's pretty simple. I guess it's out hustle everyone else.
I love that.
Work harder than the next person.
Yep.
Right. Because if you do that, then good things can happen.
Yep. I agree. And I think, part of that is being passionate about whatever you choose to do. Right. And if you can be passionate, then the hustle part, for me personally, in my experience, comes a lot easier.
That's right. That's totally right.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's very cool. Well, so, hey, Brian, I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, some people who are watching on YouTube have seen a banner across the bottom with your Instagram and sort of the website, but can you give us a shameless plug and let people know where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me at arenaclub.com or at arenaclublee on Instagram.
Awesome. I love that. That's great. And as you mentioned, next month, if you guys are in the Miami area, go check out Arena Club at that show. I'm front side. What's it? Courtside. What's that show called?
It's like the Miami something.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't prepared for that. So, but I know Nick is one of the guys who's promoting that show.
That's
great
right.
guy.
That's right. Nick Leon is a great guy.
Yep. So those guys always do a great job. And Summertime 101, I forget what his handle is currently on IG, but again, those guys are doing really great things down there. So, Brian, this has been an awesome conversation. You have an amazing story and obviously experience. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
And I just remember the name of the Miami show. It's called Courtside.
There it is.
Courtside show in Miami.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Zach.
Well, Brian, thank you so much.
Me.
I'm looking forward to seeing what's next
right.
for Arena Club. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Everybody, thank you for taking time for watching and listening. I appreciate your time today, and I hope that you found some inspiration or learned something new. If you enjoyed the show, please do me a favor, like, follow, subscribe, and most importantly, share it with your friends. Your support helps keep Hobby Hustle community growing. And remember, keep collecting, keep hustling, and I'll see you next week on Hobby Hustle, where passion, collecting, and business collide. Thanks so much.
Hobby Hustle is brought to you by Collector Creative. If you're a collectible brand or company looking for help with marketing, branding, design, or development, head over to collectorcreative.com and drop Zach a line. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at collector_creative. And be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time on Hobby Hustle, where collecting passion and business collide.